Starting with the holy name of Almighty Allah, the most merciful, the beneficent, the glorious. Assalamu alaikum. I hope that all our viewers are doing great and they are in the best of their health and spirit. Before going to start, let me tell you that this video is going to be made in order to give the presentation of our chapter, and the title of our chapter is The Scientific Approach and the Alternative Approach to Investigation. We know that it is quite obvious for the manager that are working in any type of organization to encounter some difficulties. So they have to take the decisions. Those decisions can be good or bad. Now it is up to managers that which type of decision that they are going to make. So managerial decisions that are based on good research, that are results are likely to be more effective. Now the question arises that which type of research the managers have to do. Either they have to go with general research or they have to do some sort of scientific research. So before going to do research, let me tell you what is the differentiation between these two types of research. The general research is an organized, systematic, database, critical, objective inquiry into a specific problems that needs a solution. Simple. And the scientific research is it focuses on solving problem and pursuing a step-by-step logical organized rigorous method to first of all like identify the problems, then gather data, then after gathering data analyze that data and draw a valid conclusion from them. A successful manager decision is seldom made over hunches or trials and error methods. So we can say that scientific research refers to process of conducting research. Like it means that the research which is conducted with some scientific characteristics is called scientific research. So any type of research can be said scientific if it is being followed by some scientific attributes. So the next topic is the hallmarks of scientific research. Before going to start, let me tell you people that what is hallmarks. Uh, the hallmarks, we can say it's a mark that is put on any type of article or journal that indicates its purity, like origin, and we can simply say that it's geniusness. So it is like in front of you the hallmarks of scientific research. There are 8 hallmarks of scientific research. These are purposiveness, rigor, testability, replicability, precision and confidence. The next one is objectivity, then generalizability, parsimony. I will explain first two and rest of hallmarks will be presented to you by my fellows. The first one is purposiveness. So it says that the research that is going to be conducting, it should have a specific focus, it should have a aim or a purpose that is mentioned in an understandable and unambiguous matter. So it means that there should not be any type of unambiguity while starting a research. For example, like the focus of the manager is to increase employee commitment. So what does it mean to increase in employee commitment? It means that increasing employee commitment will translate to lower turnover, less absentees, and probably increase in performance level. So it means that the focus has been cleared. It has a specific aim and focus, thus it has a specific purpose. Next one is rigor. Rigor. It is very important hallmarks and characteristics of scientific research. Rigor means that having a good theoretical base and sound methodological design. That we can say that it adds carefulness and the degree of exactitude in the research. For example, same example if we have to take, like if employee or if the manager have to increase the level of commitment, he just ask from 10 to 12 employees in an organization that how your level of commitment can be increased. So manager reaches to conclusion based on just 10 to 20, 12 employees. Then in this way the whole approaches to investigation would become unscientific. So it would lack rigor for the following reasons. Like first of all, those like the opinion of these 10 to 12 employees doesn't are not representing the opinion of the whole organization employee. So there can be biasness, there can be incorrectness in the responses, like might be other influences on the commitment which are ignored and they are very important for the researchers to know. So in order to like conduct the researchers, there must not be any biasness and there like must not be any incorrectness in the responses. So that was all from me. Now I would like to
Greetings, I am Abdul Mukeet and I am going to explain next steps. To save time, I would like to explain slides with example and will not just read slides. My first part is testability. Let me explain this slide with an example. For example, a researcher may develop a hypothesis that increasing the amount of physical activity in children will lead to weight loss. The researcher would then conduct a study by recruiting a group of children and randomly assigning them to either a control group or an intervention group. The intervention group would participate in a physical activity program while the control group would not. The researcher would then collect data on children's weight before and after the intervention and compare the results between two groups. If the data collected supports a hypothesis that increasing physical activity leads to weight loss, the researcher can conclude that the hypothesis is supported. Next is replicability. This slide can also be explained directly with an example. For example, let's say a study is conducted to investigate the effectiveness of a new medication for treating high blood pressure. The study is conducted on a group of 100 patients, and the results show that the medication is effective in reducing blood pressure in 80% of the patients. To ensure the validity of these findings, it is important for the same study to be conducted on a different groups of patients using the same methodology to see if the same results are achieved. This is known as replications. If the results of the second study also show that medication is effective in reducing blood pressure in 80% of the patient, this lends more credibility to the initial findings. It eliminates a doubt that initial findings were simply a chance occurrence and provides more confidence that the medication is indeed effective for treating high blood pressure. However, if second study shows different results, for example, only 60% of blood blood pressure reduction, this suggests that the initial finding may not be entirely reliable and that further research is needed to confirm the effectiveness of the medication. Uh, Next is precision and confidence. Uh, Precision and confidence are two important concepts in statistics that are closely related. Precision refers to the degree of accuracy or exactitude of the results based on the sample in relation to what exists in the universe. For example, if survey is conducted to determine the percentage of people who own a car and the results show that 50% of the sample own a car, the precision of the survey would be high if sample is representative of the population. Confidence, on the other hand, refers to the probability that the estimation made in the research findings are correct. For example, if a survey has a 90% of confidence level, it means that if the survey were to be repeated multiple times, 95% of the result would fall within the margin of error. Both precision and confidence can be obtained through appropriate scientific sampling design. For example, if a random sample method is used, the sample will be more representative of the population, thus increasing precision. Additionally, by increasing the sample size, the confidence level can be increased. In summary, precision refers to the accuracy of the finding based on sample, while confidence refers to the probability that the estimation is correct. Both can be obtained through appropriate scientific sampling design. Objectivity. Objectivity in research means that the findings and the conclusion are based on factual and verifiable data rather than personal biases or emotions. An example of objective research would be study investigating the effectiveness of a certain medication for treating a specific medical condition. The researcher would design a controlled experiment where participants are randomly assigned to either receive the medication or a placebo, and then measure the outcome using objective measures such as changing the symptoms or lab values. The researcher would then analyze the data and draw conclusions based on the evidence rather than personal opinions, preconceptions. In contrast, a subjective study might involve the researcher's personal observations or interpretations of data, which could be influenced by their own biases or emotions. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ahmed Zeb, and the topic I'm going to present is first the generalizability. What is generalizability? Generalizability is the hallmark of the scientific research. Generalizability refers to the scope of applicability of the research findings in one organizational settings to other settings. जनरलाइजेबिलिटी ये है कि अपने एक रिसर्च की वो कितनी ज़्यादा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अंदर कितना उसका वाइड स्कोप है, तो उतनी ज़्यादा हमारी जो है वो रिसर्च जनरलाइज है. फॉर एग्जांपल अगर हमने जो है एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, फॉर एग्जांपल अगर नेस्ले की जो है ना के ऊपर जो है एक रिसर्च वो की है, अगर वो इम्प्लीमेंट जो है ना किसी और ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, फॉर एग्जांपल किसी बैंकिंग ऑर्गेनाइजेशन या किसी या पेप्सी के ऊपर जो है ना वो इम्प्लीमेंट हो रही है, तो हम ये कहेंगे कि ये जनरलाइज है. जितनी ज़्यादा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन पर जनरलाइज होगी वो उतनी ज़्यादा जो है रिसर्च जो है वो एक्सेप्टेबल होगी, वो एप्लीकेबल होगी. Parsimony. Parsimony is the eighth hallmark of the scientific research according to this book. So parsimony refers to the simplicity in explaining the phenomena or problems that occur. ठीक हो गया. इसका यह है कि हमें रिसर्च इस टाइप से करनी है कि वो जो है यानी कि वो उसको ज़्यादा सिंपल रखना है, उसको ज़्यादा कम्प्लेक्स नहीं करना, यानी कि इसमें भी करना है कि अगले को समझ में आए, यानी कि इतने सिंपल मेजरमेंट मेथड से जो है ना वो हमें उसके पता चल जाए. फॉर एग्जांपल इसकी क्लासिक एग्जांपल जो है वो ली जाती है, इफ यू हेयर द हूफ बीट्स थिंक हॉर्स नॉट जीब्रा. The next one is the hypothetico-deductive method. ये 7 steps के ऊपर जो है ना वो बेस करता है, और ये हमें ये बताता है कि कैसे जो है वो रिसर्च कंडक्ट की जाए, और उसके जो है वो 7 बेसिक जो स्टेप्स है वो उसके ऊपर है. पहला जो स्टेप है वो है आइडेंटिफाई द ब्रॉड प्रॉब्लम एरिया. ब्रॉड प्रॉब्लम एरिया जो है वो है इंटायर सिचुएशन वेयर वन सीज अ पॉसिबल नीड फॉर रिसर्च एंड प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग. प्रॉब्लम एरिया एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के अंदर जो है ना वो प्रॉब्लम हुई है. प्रॉब्लम किसे कहते हैं? प्रॉब्लम जो है आपकी एक्चुअल स्टेट और जो आपकी डिजायर्ड स्टेट है उसके दरमियान जो गैप होता है वो प्रॉब्लम होती है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल एक प्रॉब्लम आई, ड्रॉप इन सेल्स हुई, ठीक हो गया. एम्प्लॉयज़ को मोटिवेशन की लैक हो रहा है, ठीक हो गया. जो माइनॉरिटी जो है वो ग्रोथ नहीं कर रही है, ये एक प्रॉब्लम है. ये एक प्रॉब्लम एरिया है. प्रॉब्लम एरिया पहले हम प्रॉब्लम एरिया आइडेंटिफाई करते हैं, फिर उसके ऊपर जो है हम रिसर्च जो है वो करते हैं. द नेक्स्ट वन इज हमने जब प्रॉब्लम एरिया आइडेंटिफाई कर लिया, तो उसके बाद नेक्स्ट है कि हम जो है हम प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट जो है वो डिफाइन करते हैं. प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट क्या होती है? अ कंसाइज डिस्क्रिप्शन ऑफ द प्रॉब्लम और इश्यूज अ प्रोजेक्ट सीक टू एड्रेस. ठीक है. प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट जो है वो साइंटिफिक रिसर्च जब भी होती है वो उसका एक मकसद होता है, उसका एक एम होता है, उसका एक पर्पस होता है. प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट क्या होती है? एक स्टेटमेंट होती है जो हमें ये बताती है कि हमने इस रिसर्च के अंदर क्या करने वाले हैं, वो प्रॉब्लम एरिया पर डिपेंड कर रही होती है. इसके अंदर दो चीज़ें होती है, एक होती है जनरल ऑब्जेक्टिव और दूसरा होती है रिसर्च क्वेश्चंस. इसके प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट्स को डिफाइन करने से पहले हम इनिशियल इंफॉर्मेशन गैदर करते हैं. इसका मतलब ये है कि हम प्रीलिमिनरी रिसर्च करते हैं. प्रीलिमिनरी रिसर्च के अंदर हम जो है कंपनी की फाइनेंशियल पोजीशन देखते हैं, उसके जो है ना वो इकोनॉमिक फैक्टर्स देखते हैं, उसके कॉम्पिटिटर्स देखते हैं जो है, और इसके अंदर काफ़ी ज़्यादा वो चीज़ें आ जाती है. तो हम प्रीलिमिनरी रिसर्च करके तो हम प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट जो है वो एक डिफाइन करते हैं, जो हमें ये बताती है कि हम आगे रिसर्च के अंदर क्या करने वाले हैं. Thanks a lot. That's all from my side.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Zohaib Ahmed Sheikh. I'm from section B. So first of all, जैसा कि मेरे कलीग ने अभी हाइपोडेक्ट मेथड की 2 पॉइंट्स बताई हैं, उसके बाद 4 पॉइंट्स मैं बताऊंगा. तो सबसे पहली पॉइंट आ जाती है डेवलप हाइपोथेसिस. सो बेसिकली इस पॉइंट में ये होता है कि आप hypothesis is a proposed explanation for a phenomena. For a hypothesis to be a scientific hypothesis, the scientific method requires that one can test it. Scientists generally base scientific hypothesis or previous observation that cannot be satisfactorily be explained with the available scientific theories. So the network of association identified among the variables then theoretically woven together with justification as to why they might influence the problem from a theorized network association among the variables. Certain hypotheses or educated conjugators can be generated. For instance, at this point we might be hypothesized that specific factors such as overpricing, competition, inconvenience, and unresponsive implies affect customer searching. A scientific hypothesis must meet two requirements. The first criterion is that a hypothesis must be testable. We have discussed testability of a hypothesis earlier in this chapter. The second criterion and one of the central tenets of hypothesis deductive method is that hypothesis must also be falsifiable. That is, must be possible to disprove the hypothesis. According to Karl Popper, this is important because of hypothesis cannot be confirmed. There is always a possibility that future research will show that it is false. Hence, failing to falsify a hypothesis does not prove that hypothesis remain provisional until it is proved. Hence, the requirement of falsifiability emphasizes the tentative nature of research finding. We can only prove our hypothesis until they are disproved. So that's all. उसके बाद आ जाती है मेरी point डिटरमाइन मेयर में ये आ जाता है कि unless the variable in the theoretical framework are measured in some way, we will not able to test our hypothesis. To test hypothesis that unresponsive replies affect customer switching, we need to operationalize unresponsiveness and customer switching. That's all. उसके बाद आ जाती है ये point data collection. Data collection में आ जाता है after we have determined how to measure our variables data with respect to each variable in the hypothesis need to be obtained. These data then form to basis data analysis. Data collection is extensively discussed. उसके बाद इसमें दो किस्म के क्वालिटेटिव एंड क्वांट डेटा दो टाइप्स होते हैं. क्वांट डेटा में ये आता है कि क्वांटिटेटिव डेटा आर मेयर ऑफ वैल्यूज और काउंट्स आर एक्सप्रेस एज नंबर्स. क्वांटिटेटिव डेटा आर अबाउट न्यूमेरिकल वेरिएबल्स, हाउ मेनी, how much, or how often. Qualitative data are measures types and may be represented by name. और दूसरा जो होता है उसके एग्जांपल जो होते हैं क्वालिटेटिव, उसमें एग्जांपल ये आ जाते हैं सर्वे, कंटेंट एनालिसिस रिकॉर्डेड डेटा, ऑब्जर्वेशन, एक्सपेरिमेंट. और क्वालिटेटिव एग्जांपल्स ये होते हैं कि केस स्टडी, इन डेप्थ इंटरव्यू, फोकस ग्रुप डिस्कशन, ऑब्जर्वेशन, एंथोग्राफी. एंड लास्ट में जो हमारा आ जाता है जो टाइप आ जाता है इसमें डेटा एनालिसिस. Data analysis may in the data analysis step, the data gathered are statically analyzed to see if the hypotheses that were generated have been supported. For instance, to see if unresponsiveness of employees affect customer searching. We might want to do a correctional analysis, determine the relationship between these variables. Hypotheses are tested through appropriate statistical analysis. That's all from my side. So उसके बाद मेरे colleague Ehsan Khan, please.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ahsan Khan, and at last I will discuss about the interpretation of data. Now we must decide whether our hypotheses are supported or not by interpreting the meaning of the results of the data analysis. For instance, it was found from the data analysis that increased responsiveness of employees was negatively related to customer switching. That we can deduce that if customer retention is to be increased, our employees have to be trained to be more responsive. Another inference from the data analysis is that responsiveness of our employees for the variance in customer switching. Based on these deductions, we are able to make recommendations on how the customer switching problem may be solved. We have to train our employees to be more flexible and communicative. Even if the hypothesis on the effect of unresponsiveness on customer switching is not supported, our research efforts has been worthwhile. Hypotheses that are not supported allow us to refine our theory by thinking about why it is that they are not supported. We can then test our refined theory in future research. The next one is the review of hypothetico-deductive method. In that area, we use two scientific methods. The first one is the deductive reasoning. It is to test a theory. Recall that to a scientist, a theory is an organized set of assumptions that generate testable predictions about a topic of interest. In deductive reasoning, the work from the more general, we work from the more general to more specific. We start out with the general theory and then narrow down the theory into specific hypotheses we can test. We narrow down even further when we collect specific observation to test our hypothesis. Analysis of these specific observations ultimately allow us to confirm or refute our original theory. The next one is the inductive reasoning. Inductive reasoning works in opposite direction. It is a process where we observe specific phenomena and on this basis arrive at general conclusion. Hence, in inductive reasoning, we work from more specific to more general. The observation of a first, second, and third white swan. This is a very famous example may lead to the proposition that all swans are white. In this example, the repeated observation of white swan has led to the general conclusion that all swans are white. According to Karl Popper, it is not possible to prove a hypothesis by means of induction because no amount of evidence assures us that contrary evidence will not be found. Observing 3, 10, 100, or even 10,000 white swans does not justify the conclusion that all swans are white because there is always a possibility that the next swan we observe will be black. Instead, Popper proposed the science is accomplished by deduction. The next one we will discuss are some obstacles to conducting scientific research in the management area. In the management and behavioral areas, it is not always possible to conduct investigations that are 100% scientific in the sense that, unlike in physical sciences, the results obtained will not be exact and error-free. This is primarily because of the difficulties likely to be encountered in the measurement and collection of data in the subjective areas of feeling, emotion, attitude, and perception. These problems occur whenever we attempt to measure abstract and subjective constructs. Difficulties might also be encountered in obtaining a representative sample, restricting the generalizability of the finding. Thus, it is not always possible to meet all the hallmarks of science in full. And at last, I will conclude my topic uh, by saying you may have asked yourself repeatedly, why do I need to do this? One answer is that we believe that it is important for you to know that there is more than one viewpoint on what makes good research. Knowledge of epistemology may help you to relate to and understand the research of others and the choices that were made in this research. Different researchers have different ideas about the nature of knowledge or on how we come to know. These different ideas translate into different approaches that are taken to research, into different research design, into different choices regarding the research methods used. Another answer to the question, why do I need to do this, is that you will probably have noticed you prefer one research perspective over the other perspectives. Understanding your personal ideas on research and how it should be done allow you to determine what kind of research questions are important to you and what methods for collecting and analyzing data will give you the best answer to the questions. In sum, your viewpoint on the nature of knowledge, on how we come to know, will have a strong influence on the research question you ask, your research design, and your research method you will use. Thank you so much. That's all from our group.